Hello, good evening, and welcome back. And this election certainly turned things upside down. For general election 2019, Prime Minister put corporation tax cuts on hold to help fund NHS. Anybody else looking into this would think, this is clearly a Labour policy or a Democrat policy, if you're more American-leaning. It's a very left-leaning policy that we're not going to give any tax cuts. We're going to keep taxes as high as we can in order to fund our socialised health service. And yet, no, this is a right-wing platform, apparently, that they wish to be bringing out on this. So, they say planned cuts to corporation tax next April are to be put on hold, Boris Johnson has said, with the money being spent on the NHS and other services. The rate paid by firms on their profits was due to fall from 19% to 17%. And this is very odd considering what he said before, that it would help boost the economy, and I definitely agree with that. So it seems odd then that when push comes to shove, he actually thinks higher taxes are better, in which case he's not actually a conservative, or at least he's not very, if any, right-leaning at all, especially seeing his reason is to save a socialised health service. That it's basically saying, yes, so we want greater tax, and maybe lower tax would enable you to have more money, but we need to take your money, risk of death, force of gunpoint, if you will, because we're going to force you to pay into this socialised health service. And as far as I'm concerned, then that is, of course, taking away the decisions from the individuals to create the decisions that they want. It's not allowing them to choose their own lifestyle, which, as far as I'm concerned, isn't a very libertarian, right-leaning, individualistic platform to stand on. But seeing as the NHS was dreamt up by the Conservatives and kept going mainly by the Conservatives, it seems that it is now a Conservative project, and the NHS seems to continue to be that little baby that they must defend. The PM told business leaders it may cost the Treasury £6 billion, and this was better spent on national priorities, including the health service. Yes, they're saying this tax cut would actually cost the money. So, what is it? Why would you want to cut it in the first place if it's going to be costly and not worthwhile? Seeing as you're not even saying, if you might say, yes, this is going to mean that the government is going to lose money, but that's okay, because we can cut spending on the bureaucracy so that we don't have as many people to pay, so it doesn't matter, and then you get to spend it on whatever you want. And of course, in doing so, then there's the value-added tax, VAT, for which they reclaim the money anyway, but they don't seem to be buying into that, because they seem to think that it's a loss to the government if it's not taxed. In which case, why stop at 19%? So, they say, Jeremy Corbyn said business had so much to gain from a Labour victory in terms of investment. Let's take your money to give it back. And by doing so, of course, it's going to go through many layers of bureaucracy. We're going to be picking our favourites, and you're not going to get as much money back as you put in, even if it was divvied up evenly, because we're taking a cut just to deal with your money for you. What utter bullshit. Joe Swinson said the Liberal Democrats were the natural party of business because they wanted to cancel Brexit. Yes, they want to limit your freedom, so it must be the one for the business. Addressing the audience of top executives and entrepreneurs, Mr. Johnson said they had created the wealth that actually pays for the NHS. I believe this was saying, the Conservatives created the wealth that actually pays for the NHS? In which case, no, that would be the individuals who might have to be taxed to death. Or are you saying it's they, as in the business executives, in which case, why are you not saying, hey, you've earned it, there's your tax cut, you can clearly spend money better than we can. Stressing his party's emphatic belief in fiscal prudence, he said he had decided against going ahead with a further cut in corporation tax, a step first proposed by George Osborne in 2016 to boost business in the wake of the Brexit referendum. Yes, that would certainly be good. As Mr. Johnson said, the UK already had the lowest rate of corporation tax of any major economy, and further cuts would be postponed. Yes, you don't even need to have a tiny amount of tax, you just need to have the lowest. You just need to be competing with the other countries. So, as we see, the corporation tax receipts have been increasing, even during a Conservative government. How the hell does that work? So, and unless their percentage is decreased, I suppose, in which case, yeah, well done. The corporation tax is an important revenue raiser, making up approximately 9% of the UK's government total tax take. the amount, it's beggars belief as far as I'm concerned. Because a corporation is still people, there's still people working there. So you say they're the profits. It's like, okay, so you're taxing that before investing in the company, before paying the people who are then also taxed. Where exactly are you hoping to get the tax in which case you're still taxing it for the people? Making approximately 9% of the UK government's total tax take, the amount raised by the tax has risen by 2/3 in the past decade, as the rate has fallen from 28% to 19%, and economic conditions have improved. There we are, and that's the good news. In the past decade, as it has risen 2/3 and fallen from 28% to 19%, thus showing that it's, you can have a lower rate of tax and yet still get more money if that's what you want as a government, but I'm not all that sure that it should be. But the same then goes for the individuals. Why do you have the tax rate at 45% at the top? No, how about we just drop it all to a flat 12%? That would be great. Looking at the Laffer curve, that would be ideal. Many economists said the latest cut would be potentially counterproductive in terms of tax yields, with a study based on HMRC data last year suggesting it could mean a £6 billion a year in lost government revenues. Let's not go into the so-called experts. So, moving on, they are also mentioning what Corbyn has decided to nationalise, essentially. So they start by saying Labour's plan has been to raise corporation tax to 26%, the 2011 level, which it says will generate billions to be spent on its priorities, including health and education. So, yes, kind of, and this is done in some civilization games as well, that you generate the wealth with low tax and then you hike it up just for a short amount of time before people leave in order to have your cash injection, and just hopefully you don't do it for too long, otherwise people have left. But if you get a reputation for it, then if people think you're doing it, then they will leave prematurely anyway, as people will do if the Labour government gets in. You will have capital flights before they even have a chance for their money to be taken. So when they say it's going to rate it to 26%, you've already seen that you don't need to do that to improve your tax income, but they want to do it anyway, and hoping that they're going to beat capital flight, which they won't, because the business people are more intelligent than the government. Otherwise those governmental people would be in business, because then they'd be getting more money. Turning to Brexit, the Tory leader told the conference that while big business did not want the UK to leave the EU, his withdrawal deal would provide the certainty that you want now and have wanted for some time. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. They can still trade globally. They'll be fine. So Corbyn has said business has nothing to fear from a Labour government. Hilarious. Arguing that while the richest would pay more, there would also be more investment than you have ever dreamt of. Can't afford it. He said he would make no apologies for the party's plan to take rail, mail, water and broadband delivery into public ownership, even though the last one is definitely a non-issue, saying it's not an attack on the free market and will bring the UK in line with the continent. And it is an attack on the free market when you're nationalising these entities, and I don't care if it's in line with the continent, as we're trying to leave the continent anyway. Take a clue. How about that? We're a different culture. So how can he say business has nothing to fear when he's saying, yes, we're going to take over your entire business? BT shares have, of course, fallen because of his daft idea. He goes on to say, it is sometimes claimed I am anti-business. This is nonsense. It is not nonsense to be against poverty pay. It is not nonsense to say the largest corporations should pay their taxes just as small companies do. Reframe the argument. Don't address the point. Brilliant. It is not anti-business to want prosperity in every part of the country. Yeah, okay, so we might agree with your ideals, but we don't agree with your ideas. We think you've got a good goal, but you're doing it the wrong way. Jo Swinson is fucking mental. She says, Boris Johnson in the pocket of Nigel Farage and Jeremy Corbyn stuck in the 1970s. We're the only ones standing up for you. And it gets worse. To show how demented she is, she said her party would go further than the others and to replace crippling business rates with a levy paid by commercial landlords based on land value, which she suggested would help rescue the high street. Yes, but people don't want the high street. No one cares. That's why the high street is going, because people want the convenience of being able to order online and have it delivered. The high street just isn't important. It's moved. You say they're stuck in the 1970s and you're saying you want the high street. Get your act together. Why are there so many logical inconsistencies when it comes to leftists? But we know this.
Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage, who was not attending the CBI event, said politicians' focus should be on helping small business and promoting what he claimed were the advantages of a no-deal Brexit. I don't think you necessarily need to help them out, you just need to stop hindering them. Actually, stop the lobbying and allow the competition, stop the regulations and the red tape, and also the higher taxes, because that's where the bigger companies do their lobbying and get the loopholes out of it. So the smaller companies suffer, but if you just let everyone play fair, then you'll be fine, and that's what the government should be doing. Should be following the laws and orders and get everybody treated equally. But hey, it's been a long time since that's happened. So as always, let me know what you guys think down below. Always interested to hear what you guys have to say. If you've got any suggestions for future videos, do let me know. And I am now uploading all these on BitChute, so link in the description. Do check it out as a mirror copy, because I've noticed that YouTube seems to be hating my videos, and I hate the algorithm attack that's been going on for so long that I've decided that BitChute is the answer, at least for now. So like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.